We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Convo Couch. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is on the ones and twos. And why don't you play us in? I'm going to get us up on the MCSC network because it didn't come in real quick. Thank you for joining us. We have a special show. We had a special time yesterday, fam. Why don't you tell everybody?
So we went to the No War with Iran protest yesterday that took place in Pershing Square. It was actually one of my favorite rallies and protests that I've been to. We were there as media covering it, but I decided to go into the crowd and kind of get the crowd's reaction. Before they departed, they got they had a bunch of speakers in Pershing Square. One of them was Mike Preisner, who did a great job talking about how he was he was in the war in Iraq, how this started. He wrote a letter to I think it was Bush Sr. about not going to war when he was 7 years old. And so, the millennial generation, we've seen the war be part of our lives. And so he kept talking about that. And then there was also other speakers from Answer Coalition, Code Pink, and just local activists, a lot of very leftist socialist groups as well that are, talking about how the oligarchy, the capitalist oligarchy is at fault for this. But one of the main things that I saw, one of the main themes that I felt was true with, that has always resonated with me, is that we are all fighting. Our country is fighting and bombing these people, these poor people, just like us in other countries. And we have far more in common with these poor people that we are bombing than we do with the oligarchs that are waging war in the name of greed and power and oil, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, the people that suffer the most are the poor, the working class, and we have far more in common with those people that are getting bombed than we do with those oligarchs. So we need to remember that and realize the Iraqis and the Iranians and the Middle Eastern people are not our enemy. Our enemy is imperialism, whether it's U.S. imperialism, which I think is right now the case, we are the aggressor, or another type of totalitarian imperialism.
Yeah. And let's not forget that I don't think the Persians have attacked anybody country-wise since Darius in the movie 300 with, what's his name, the guy who played?
Alexander the Great?
No, but the guy who played, what's the head Spartan guy? We are Spartan!
Oh, okay.
The actor, whatever his name is. But it's been a long time. It's not, once again, when we talk about China and these countries, they don't invade other countries. They don't, they're not interventionists. And we've been messing around their country for a while. So I think the big theme for me yesterday is when I went there is to make sure it's just more than just an anti-Trump rally. Yes, Trump is responsible for this latest action. But just like with Obama, everybody thought that when we got rid of Bush, it would solve all our problems. No. The anti-war movement went to sleep, and here we are today trying to rev it back up. But it was a great sight yesterday. The people who are the most important, the independent media people who take this stuff to heart. We were all out in full force yesterday, and we have a lot of things to show.
I'm just going to give a shout out to the political vigilante that was out there, Graham Elwood, Ron Pacone, Jimmy Dore, Steph Zamorano, the District 34, Tina Desiree Berg, and from the Gazette, the two print, Ruth and her husband, they were all out there. There was no TYT. ABC was only there covering the crowd. They got some shots from the chopper. But yeah, I mean, there was no other media. There were no. I mean, it was just strictly us covering it, and that's what more of the kind of things we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking for candidates. It's something I always do at this time of year. It's like, okay, this is a no war with Iran protest. Where are the candidates? Who are the candidates running for Congress over here? The progressives that are going to be out there for these. This is important for me to be out there right now. So which candidates were out there? Well, I did see one yesterday. Her name is Angelica Duenas. We have a little picture here, Johnny, of Angelica. She's running for Congress against Tony Cardenas. She's also booked to come on the show. So we're going to get a little bit more Angelica in our life, but it was really great to see her out there. She ran as a Green Party candidate. Now she's running as a Democrat because she thinks it's better strategic-wise for her district.
Yes.
So Angelica Duenas, do you have anything to say about her?
Yeah, so she ran last cycle, and she ran as a Green, and even with running as a Green, she was endorsed by Our Revolution, and she was endorsed by, I believe, People for Bernie. She was endorsed by the majority of the progressive movement, even as a Green. So I think as running as a Democrat, she should be well on her way to getting those endorsements again. But also, it's important to note, there was no other congressional candidates. Cenk Uygur was nowhere to be found.
No.
And this is pivotal. This is pivotal because I think if you're going to call yourself a progressive, you must be anti-war.
Yeah.
You must. If you're going to be on the forefront as a progressive leader and a fighter, you must go on the ground and stand against this, because this affects everything you want to achieve domestically. So if you are a congressional candidate and you're a serious congressional candidate and you're touting yourself as a progressive and you don't show up where it counts, you're not there, then I'm not going to consider you a progressive. I'm not going to consider you somebody that's there with the people. If jagoff comedians, like Jimmy says, are out there, boots on the ground, marching with the people, I mean, where are you as a congressional candidate? It's the very least you can do. So I applaud Angelica Duenas for doing that, because she has been one of the few that I've seen at the majority of these local events. She's definitely grassroots. That's what I mean by grassroots. Someone of the people, by the people. She takes no corporate PAC money. She's been approached. She has said no. And that's what I love about her.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty awesome yesterday to see a lot of that stuff. A lot of young people, too, out there as well.
Yeah.
We did see Jimmy. We saw Steph. We saw all these people there. Abby Martin was there. Mike President. Despite any differences, if I saw them, hey, this is a time when we put aside our differences and unite. You know what I'm saying? This has got to be about, and I say this, we got to stay focused. This is about the military-industrial complex. Yes, Donald Trump has a lot of responsibilities to bear, but the military-industrial complex is at work. We did a little interview with Graham Elwood, and he kind of talked about it. And how many Democrats voted for the
188 Democrats voted to remove the NDAA provision, which had no war with Iran, without congressional approval. It was a complete provision, and 188 of those Democrats. People have told me Katie Porter is a progressive. She is one of those people that voted against that. She voted for Trump's military budget several times already. What's his name? Harley Rauda, who we interviewed from the very beginning before he was elected. Progressive? No. I don't care if they wear a blue label. If they're going to vote with Republicans on war, that tells you everything.
Yeah. And this was one of the reasons when he was running, was the big reason. Okay, listen, Harley Rauda, he might not be as progressive as you want. He said he voted for Hillary Clinton in the last election over Bernie Sanders. When he was out there seeking the Our Revolution endorsement, you would think, he's going to vote against war then. At least at war, he's going to be a non-interventionist. But no. This is the vote that says this is why you can't just substitute a friggin' Republican for an establishment Democrat, because all you're doing is substituting a Republican for a Republican. That's it.
And Joaquin Castro is another one from Texas, and Mike Levin, who was previously endorsed by Bernie. Bernie needs to wash his hands off of that guy completely. He voted for that. And that's disgusting, because, again, in the protests, and we're going to watch a couple videos, some of the people were focused a little bit on Trump, and it's like, Trump did start this. Trump is the problem, too, but he is a symptom of a much bigger problem, that which is the military-industrial complex. This has been going on for president after president after president. Drone strikes were perfected and started by Barack Obama. And Sean King, again, he tweeted about this yesterday. I think I was trying to find it, but he was that's the reality. Obama doing targeted drone strikes is what allowed now this president to come in and do it.
Yeah.
So that's that.
And Soleimani was bombed by a drone. Hate to say it. Take a little clip from Graham Elwood, and there was some other people. We also got the girl Taylor Hudak. She's a Free Assange person. Check out her Twitter. But this is a little clip from Graham Elwood as well.
Three choices. I want one answer from you, Graham. The military-industrial complex, the elites, whoever's responsible for this, why are they picking a fight with Iran? Is it, number one, resource extraction? Number two, a growing nation power that's getting too big, or at the behest of Israel and Saudi Arabia? What's the number one reason we are starting shit with Iran? Or something else that's not one of those?
Well, number 1 and 3 are the same. They're connected. So we need their oil. That's since the 50s, Iran said, no, we're not giving you our oil. Yeah. And Iran has a lot of nerve, in my opinion, for putting a country above American oil. Like, that's a pretty arrogant thing to do. Venezuela, you shouldn't put countries above American oil. Yeah. And it's also crazy that Iran put their own country in the middle of a bunch of American army bases. That's not smart.
The nerve, man.
The nerve. How would you do that?
Seriously.
Why would you do that? So in all seriousness, we've been needing their oil. It's all about oil and the petrodollar. And all of that is connected, what you just said. Saudi Arabia, Israel, it's all connected, right?
Yeah.
So we let Saudi Arabia chop up journalists and treat women like second-class citizens and stone people to death, provided they give us their oil.
Yeah.
So look, if Iran gave us their oil, they could do whatever, we'd let them do whatever they want.
Yeah. Graham, thank you so much for taking the time out. You always got some great things to say. Political vigilante, you going to come back on the show soon?
I just was on it.
There you go. Got 91 people on in, fam, hanging on out on a Sunday fun day. And on the MCSE network, I think we got, look at this here. Boom, another 70 dudes. Got about 160 people. And, of course, a lot of love over on the Facebook. Steve Wolbrandt.
Sup, Facebook. Sup,
Thank
Steve.
you, Steve. Gabriel Ramirez, fam. Adam Prime. Dolores Piers was on there. And Crow is on
Uncle
our
Crow.
YouTube. Upstate Raider, Kaleda. Freethinker59. Karen M. Deep Space, where you at? Thank you guys so much for joining on in on a beautiful Sunday. So,
and we're gonna have the full interview of Graham and then Angelica and on the YouTubes a bit later.
The girl Taylor gave a good interview too as well. She talked about Tulsi and Bernie and whatnot, Assange, and how it really plays into what's going on, fam, because this is a time that we really should be talking about Julian Assange.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He released that video from Chelsea Manning, who's also behind bars.
It's disgusting.
As well. And, we need to demand these people get out because they were telling us the truths of these wars, the truths of what happened. And it's very important we see this. And that's very important we take to the streets. I saw you going off on the Facebook Live and stuff. These people here sitting in this market, they need to get their asses out there. We're waving them. Get in the streets with us.
I mean, I guess we can show a little clip, Johnny, right? Of we can show the quick one, the over the bridge one really quick. And then we'll show the other one later.
A lot of people out there.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to point out that seems like a good amount of people, and it was for an anti-war rally that was just kind of came together in a few days, like literally like a couple days. And also there was one in Santa Monica, there was one in I think 72 other cities in the United States. And yeah, you can just go ahead and show the other clips too. What I want to point out is that there was a lot of people watching, people standing by. We passed by Grand Central Market, which is a market that has a lot of people, especially on a Saturday. And, they had their phones out. They were like, wow, like, okay. But they weren't out there with us. And what I want to point out is people were so emotional and so quick to get out to have impeachment eve rallies and protests against Donald Trump over impeachment. They were so quick to protest for his taxes. The Women's March is one of the largest events that's now turned into like controlled by the Democratic establishment in a corporate way, completely pushed out the grassroots. I mean, this is something that a lot of people from the Me Too movement that's intersectional here do talk about and know about. And I know my comrades, my friends here can speak to that. But I want to point out, why does America not go and march and hit the streets against war, to stand against war? Because all of the other stuff, whether it's impeachment of Donald Trump, whether it's his taxes, none of that stuff.
Jeff Sessions getting fired. They were out there in the streets.
Seriously.
Like Jeff Sessions, he's firing Jeff Sessions.
None of that stuff matters when the military-industrial complex and a few oligarchs control everything. Yeah. None of that matters. None of that matters when Trump can just go and say, oh, we're going to war because he wants to. Because he's supported both by Democrats and Republicans to do that. Yeah. Because they facilitated this for him. They've let this get out of hand. This is both of their faults. And that's what I want to point out. Like, yes, there was a lot of focus on Trump, and I agree with Pasta that it needs to go beyond Trump. One of the things that Jimmy Dore just spoke like as if he was out of my brain, because he was saying, we need to impeach the military-industrial complex. That's who we need to impeach. That's who we need to impeach, because someone before him was like, we should be impeaching Donald Trump. And I was like, no. I was agreeing with everything that was said. And then I'm like, no. Yeah. What does that do to us? What does impeaching him do? He's being impeached now. And look, he was still able to wage war against another country. Yeah. It's like, what? No, impeach the military-industrial complex. Go after the core cause of the disease. Do not go after the overlying surfaces that aren't really going to stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, you need to attack the core of the disease.
Well, here it is. And you know, I kind of voiced my opinion about that. We talk about Donald Trump. Like, listen, there was a part of it when he was like, this is about Black Lives Matter, trans lives matter. And he kind of out with Trump, a lot of that. And it's not that I don't want to hold Donald Trump accountable or I even like Donald Trump or will support Donald Trump. No, after Bolivia, after this, what I'm saying, there will be never a time that we'll ever vote for Donald Trump ever. Especially when it comes to these situations. But I think we need to stay focused on what it's really about, and it is the military-industrial complex. It is the elite. We have to be careful not to cross over for people who might say they'll join this rally because they're anti-war if you conflate it with some other issues at times. And I think that, once again, that's what I say. We have to stay focused. We don't want to use it. We don't want to. It's like the Women's March sometimes, the way they co-opt it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think there's a big co-op, but I would like to hear some shit of holding Nancy Pelosi accountable,
right?
You know, all the Democrats accountable,
right?
Let's make it about, if we're going to make it about one, let's make it about all.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah. This is, I agree with you, but I also think Trump this is a place where he does need to be held accountable because he campaigned on being a non-interventionist. He campaigned on not waging war. He mocked Barack Obama on Twitter and about getting into war, I think, with Afghanistan, get our troops out of Afghanistan, blah, 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 blah. And he went and did the same thing. He's still in the Middle East. He hasn't done what he said he would do. He needs to be held responsible for this particular thing. But what Pasta is talking about is he's not the only one. He is surrounded by neocons, and not only in the Republican Party, but in the Democratic Party, who profit off wars. Yeah. I mean, these people don't care. Yeah. They want more war because this is how they make money. They don't care who lives or dies because it's not going to be them or their children going off to these wars. They don't care. And so the hypocrisy is, you know, we're marching against Donald Trump. We're talking about how he's a racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever, and he may very well be, but we're also letting these Democrats bomb all these people of color, all these children abroad, and we are just saying, this is only Trump. No, it's not only Trump. It's everything else. The entire military-industrial complex, the oligarchs, the entire system that has led to this happening, because as we mentioned before, this has been going on since the 1950s, 1953, with the removal of the Shah. We've of course enacted regime change there. We've been pushing regime change. This is the regime change playbook over and over again. This isn't Donald Trump's playbook. This is the oligarchs' playbook. Do I think Donald Trump this is his war? Yeah. If this is very well, this is it. Yeah. You cannot support him. If you were supporting Donald Trump because he was a non-interventionist, you can no longer support him for that. Yeah. And there is no way in hell that he was right to do this, whether you like him or not.
Well, Angie says he's doing this to get reelected. Watch wag the dog. And that's what we kind of talked about. You know, when we talk about, is Donald Trump, does he want to go to war with Iran, is the big question. I don't think so. It's just my personal opinion, because I believe troop boots on the ground, American deaths, coming home, he'll lose the election. For me, Donald Trump cares about the re-election more than anything. That's what he wants. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's why I'm thinking he's doing this to show, I got the number one deadly man, whatnot, on the planet. Now, all of a sudden, this guy's the most deadly man. But a lot of people are saying, why is he doing this? Is he doing it to get reelected? Is he doing this because he does? Somebody even says that Trump is anti-war. That's funny right now about that stuff. But
no way.
Here's somebody else, what somebody says, and this kind of, Johnny talked about this the other day, puppet presidents of a shadow government.
Yeah, that's, I mean, you can put it any way you want, but Donald Trump here is, I don't think, look, I'm not abolishing of any, admonishing him of any guilt. I think he's very guilty, because there's a certain point where if you let things happen, it's on you too. Like, you are the commander-in-chief, okay? If you're going to be the commander-in-chief, you need to command. If you're letting yourself be influenced by people like Pompeo and all of these neocons, then by all means, okay, you're still at fault because they're influencing you. Is it true that the military-industrial complex is so powerful that people are scared of it and they don't know how to go about it? Yeah. I mean, president after president, we look at JFK, and when he went against the military-industrial complex, look what happened to him.
Shot him in the face.
Anytime you attack the military-industrial complex, where you don't just focus on just race alone, where you focus on like how race is tied to class struggle, and then you tie those things together on economics, and then you go after the military-industrial complex, you're a threat to that complex. Yeah. You're a threat to that oligarchy, to that structure. and you're getting in the way of their money.
Yeah, and only Bernie and Tulsi are the really ones that have really been calling this shit out. I put a tweet up. I think that, and I know there's talk about the first vote with the Iran. If you go look about the Iran nuclear deal, you'll see a list of a lot of crap where people disagree with it, whatnot. But, what I'm saying, I think for a long time, the young lady has been saying we need to get this back on the table immediately, lift the draconian sanctions, and stop this war with this saber rattling with Iran. Bernie Sanders was the first on the Congress floor to talk about the Mossadegh, intervention and whatnot, about the CIA when the CIA went public on it. And Danny O'Brien, thank you for the Super Chat contribution, as it is always appreciated on the couch. And on Facebook, we have Pishman. Hey, it's always appreciated on the couch. He said, do the most annoying one. I'm glad you're with us today. You get to see it live.
You.
I love you, Pish. But Danny O'Brien, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. And thank you, everybody. I didn't get a chance to say yesterday to the Super Chat contributions during the protest. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, that was.
We just wanted to bring it to you live.
Johnny did a great job of going live there on the CONVO
You went Facebook
couch.
Live, right?
I went Facebook.
He went YouTube Live, and
YouTube.
I just went I went interviewing and shooting shots.
As soon as we get we can get certain equipment, though, we're gonna be able to go live on all platforms.
You could see how the CONVO couch just goes to work. Everybody goes to their spots. We know what's going on. Yeah. We're in constant contact with Johnny. He's just running the whole thing as far as we're going to get this interview here, then we're going to go over there and get that. So we work together as a team, and we're looking forward to work more. We're going to talk about it more after this. But Danny O'Brien, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Says Medea Benjamin has a webinar on Code Pink Facebook, 5 p.m. Pacific on Iran. Throw away your pussy hats. We have two emergencies, war and the climate.
Wear Code Pink.
Hit the panic button. Turn off the mainstream media. They're lying. Danny O'Brien,
thank you.
You are right. Those are two big, serious things, war and climate. But, for me, civil liberties got to be number one. They're going to shadow ban all this stuff. You were talking about when it's the Facebook thing, when it's any Bernie peep or any progressive peep or anti-war, the feeds don't work as good all of a sudden.
Oh, well, yeah. We were talking with Tina yesterday how, nobody was getting really good cell signal by the protest near where we were at when we were in front of the building, the federal building. As soon as we moved, it was fine. And I mean, there are, things that can be used to mess with signals. We know that that's not a conspiracy. That's reality. But there's Benjamin's info for today at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So, fam. I mean, that was one of my favorite rallies, protests, because it was against war. We need an anti-war movement in this country, and the whole point, all those people watching, we need those people to join because it needs to be much bigger than it was. That was great, a great start, but I want to see the crowds, the same crowd sizes we get for the Women's March out there for anti-war, because that is what affects women more. Think about it. You are bombing people abroad. You are making widows. You are creating widows, you are creating orphans abroad, then these people become refugees, and then, we bring them in, and then people right here are already homeless. Yeah. That was another theme that a lot of the protesters were talking about, is we have homeless people here already. We have people that can't pay their medical bills. Why are you taking money from us to go bomb people over there? Yeah. And it's disgusting. Over and over again, it's the same thing.
Here's the thing, too. If you support war, if you don't call out war, it is anti-woman, because here's what happens, too, as well. In those other countries, the fanaticals come in. The extremists come in. And then women become reduced to nothing but what we call
the womb bearers.
Womb bearers. And they're just, at the behest of whatever these men want at these points. So you have to be anti-war if you're pro-woman. So that's another thing to think about. And you are right, fam. We need to get out. These need to grow. People need to get their priorities
anti-war movement
straight.
And another thing, it's the women here suffer. Because when the countries are poorest, when the working class is the poorest and needs several jobs, guess who's in need of those jobs? Women, women of color, it's children of immigrants. I mean, if we're gonna really be pro-immigrant, and that's why a lot of people were like, oh, Julian Castro he's good on immigration. I'm like, but is he really, when he's pro-regime change, when he's pro-continuing the status quo of foreign policy? No, because guess what? Those refugees become immigrants into the United States. So if you're really going to be pro-immigrant, you have to be anti-war. Bottom line, no excuses.
Yeah, I mean, the women that make the truck with their children because their husband's been killed or murdered or whatnot, because what's going on in the country because of our regime change mentality. And let me tell you something, Donald Trump, and that's another thing. We said, oh, well, he didn't start his own new war. Bolivia, now this attitude towards Iran is something disgusting, and we need to get out to take to the streets and stop it.
And one more thing, Saudi Arabia. We continue to promote Saudi Arabia as our ally. We continue looking the other way when they're killing the millions of Yemeni people. We continue looking the other way when it comes to Syria. And one of the main reasons we killed this guy was because of his association with Bashar al-Assad. Soleimani's association with Bashar al-Assad. And it's one of these things where, like, really nobody's saying that these people are necessarily angels, that, there's no good guys and bad guys in war. There are just interest and survival. People have to defend themselves. Now, when we start seeing U.S. soldiers being killed, whose fault is that? Is it the Iranians who are having to defend themselves, or is it our military-industrial complex, our president, and the neocons on both parties who have sent these soldiers out there to die?
I said it to Graham Elwood yesterday in our interview. I said I agree with you, Graham, and exactly what you just said, because we're over there. To fight a monster, you have to create a monster.
Right.
To fight a monster. And I don't want to say that anybody's a monster, because, when it comes to Soleimani, I'm not going to call him evil, because I think he was forced. These people were forced to go to this mentality from what we did to their country for years with the Shah. This is where we're at right now. And like we said, the military-industrial complex, it don't care who wins or loses. It just cares that we have the war. The death and destruction, taking our tax dollars out. We need to stop. This is one of our biggest issues, ladies and gentlemen. This is bigger than anything out there. And this is death and destruction. Climate change. Green bombs ain't going to save us, fam.
But it all fits in together. Climate change with this, because people, when war creates worse climate catastrophes, because you're using all of this ammunition, all of these chemicals, all of this money for more oil, all of this crap in the environment, that creates climate refugees as well. And one of the last things I want to point out before we move on, Pasta, is when I was in high school, I read The Kite Runner, and that's been one of my favorite books. And it dealt with Iran, and it just showed you the parallel of what Iran was before we went in there and what it was after. And that is something I think I will never forget. And I recommend you guys read that book. It's fictional, but it's also based on a lot of truth. Yeah. So I highly, highly recommend that. We have constantly and consistently gone over to other countries and said that we were going there to help them to promote democracy, et cetera, et cetera. But what happens is
democracy
is far worse.
Yeah.
That we leave those countries far worse than they were to begin with.
You can't count on democracy, fam. You can only count on a dictator to give you what you want, to steal their natural resources for our corporate interests to thrive. And that's what this is all about, ladies and gentlemen. Bolton openly talked about regime change is kind of disgusting. On the MCSC network, 100 people watching, taking time out from football on Sunday. It's the playoffs. Who gives a shit? Come here with the couch. Buster Peak 21 says, what has this done for Trump's 2020 prospects? Fam?
I honestly think with his base, it might help him, because his base is patriotic, jingoistic. I mean his core base that he can do no wrong, right? Like that, or like, oh yeah, he's taking out the bad guys. This guy's bad. And ironically enough, the Democratic Party loves to feed into that mentality too.
Yeah.
CNBC, we showed it yesterday. Oh, we killed the number one bad guy, blah, blah, blah. But I think with the people that were still holding on to the possibility that he was anti-war, anti-interventionist, who voted for him, thinking that he was going to be better than Hillary on that.
Yeah.
I think this kind of pushes them away. Here's a real opportunity for people like Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie Sanders to actually grab onto some of these people and say, look, I'm going to be non-interventionist.
Yeah.
We may
Johnny's
disagree,
got the tweet.
blah, 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 blah.
How many times these people mention this? We talked about this. Look at this, fam. Right here. 55? 55 times mentioned this. Bernie Sanders, 15. Elizabeth Warren, 9. Good job, Liz. Amy Klobuchar got 8, which she was probably saying, I once got an ice cream cone in Iran, and it was great. Joe Biden, he probably mentioned him in a threatening way. Andrew Yang, yeah, you're a Tom Steyer, you haven't been in the game long. You got to get up there. Pete, the CIA asset, Buttigieg.
-1? Oh, no, that's 1. Sorry.
It might have been -1.
Well,
hasn't mentioned it.
No.
One time.
What did we talk about? Iran invasion for all who want it. That's what his statement seemed like, right?
Yeah.
Iranian invasion for all who want it. That's Pete Buttigieg for you.
Mike Ungi says, I still think Hillary would have been worse than Donald Trump.
I think so, too, when it comes to foreign policy. But this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad.
She might have been bad with Russia, I think, than anything else.
Which I think would have started a cold war,
China.
cold nuclear war, though, which we'd be in the same place or worse. So,
all right, so let's get on to the big business. Yesterday we got out there, we got to the streets, we went and talked to people in the crowd, we talked to the independent journalists there, the the progressive personalities, Jimmy Dore, we talked to Graham, Ron Pacone, everybody, Taylor Hudick, we talked about all these things. We like to get out to the streets, we like to cover rallies, we like to do moderate debates. You guys know this about this. You've been with us for 2 years and you help us build the channel. But right now, with the 2020 primary coming up, it is the most important time to really get behind the CONVO couch and independent media. Why? Because you can't count on the mainstream media to get out there and give you the news and the information that's going on. Plus, as Fam has been reporting out, and she reported this before anybody, Just the Hill last month talked about the registration, what's going on. We're going to have Ruben Major, who's running for Oceanside mayor. He's going to talk about the registration problem that's going on. But you know who broke it here? Fam did, on this couch. So put us in a position to go out and do more. It is uber important. Fam has said this is one of the most important elections of our time. If not, right, Fam?
No, it absolutely is.
So take a look. We have a little video going out. We have a little GoFundMe we started today. Here's the video put together by Jonny Tsunami on those 1s and 2s. Here we go.
Hello, fams. Welcome back to the CONVO Couch. As you know, we are in the middle of a huge primary and election season that will determine so much of where the future of America goes.
We want you to know that we appreciate and are so grateful for the support you all give us every single week. That said, we want to bring you even more information, breaking news, and speak more truth during this long primary season. So we've decided to try and take on a new venture.
We want to cover key primaries in as many states as possible. But in order to do this, travel, take off days of work, go to events, and buy new equipment to get us top-notch work, we've decided to start a GoFundMe.
Our goal is to raise at least $10,000 for the first half of the primary season through March. Afterwards, we will evaluate what needs to be done for the last half of the primary and possibly into the election. This will include airfare, travel, equipment, accommodations, and other traveling expenses.
We live in Los Angeles and the rent is too damn high, but we want to be able to cover as much as possible. Anything happens during the voting time, we will be there to break the news and bring you live updates. We don't just sit on the couch, we follow the action.
And as we've said, this election is so important, if not the most important election of our time, and we can't afford to miss it or not be there in case any shenanigans go down.
So fams, we humbly ask for your help in any way support you can give it. Donate, help us cover these events, and talk to the people and politicians. You already know that we ask the right questions. For those who donate, we'll put your name down in the credits and show a big thank you to you. We'll post the link down below.
Thanks again for your support. It truly means the world to us.
And it is always appreciated on the couch. And please, like, share, and subscribe from Pasta
And Fee
and Jonny Tsunami on those 1s and 2s.
CONVO out.
Help us out.
Thank you guys.
Wait, got more?
More. This is what we don't want to happen.
Decreases in voter turnout have been found in states that require photo IDs to vote.
With some people still in line to cast their ballots.
Many Brooklyn residents who thought they were registered showed up to vote, only to find their names were not on the list.
We need to count all provisional ballots. And say, shut the fucking election down. We deny people the right to vote.
Next speaker.
Okay, so this is what we don't want to happen, fam. We don't want this to happen.
Did you see
Are
Nico?
we on?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, 2 seconds. There you go.
Okay, great. So this is what we don't want to happen. Yeah, that was funny. That was Nico there. We don't want this to happen all over again, you guys. And I have a feeling, that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And the reason I have a feeling it's gonna happen is because nothing's changed as far as election integrity. It's still being touted as something that's a conspiracy theory by the likes of the California Democratic Party delegates, by the likes of the California Democratic Party directors, the people like the Adkins brothers. Those people, they're still saying this is a conspiracy theory. And they're saying that because these are the gatekeepers. These are the people that want to continue the status quo. We want to be there to catch all of this in the action, because Pasta has asked, I don't know how many times, for the source code. There's no response on that. California is pivotal. We're lucky we live here because that's going to facilitate for us to be covering it. But we want to be there at every level, at every single level, which is why we want to go to Iowa, because Iowa has a caucus and we want to be able to be there and see what's going down. We've heard of issues already. We know many people, progressives that are there on the ground. Our friend Colin is there. A lot of our friends are there. And we want to make sure we're there to make sure that we have eyes on everything going on before it happens and then after as it's happening as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to take time for us to take off work, to be able to go fly there and pretty much dedicate ourselves to the cause, because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Whether you're a Tulsi supporter or a Bernie supporter, whoever you support, we want to make sure our elections have integrity. And last time around, there weren't that many people there at these places. That documentary Jonny pointed out is called Uncounted, and it was on TYT before
Pre-Katzenberg money. before that $20 million check came in.
But whatever the case is, it was a good documentary, and I would recommend you guys watch it. But what we do want to do is get as much footage as possible, because who knows, we might make a documentary in the future, and we want to make sure to work with our progressives to keep track of everything. So people don't say, oh, this is a conspiracy theory. We're not going to allow you to say that this time.
I think last election out, TYT did a great job, but with Cenk running for office, you're not going to count on them to be in Iowa, see what's going on, going to the rallies, going around. If there's some fugazi stuff, we're going to know about it. We're connected. We're going to use our connections and go to work. Somebody said, how do Fee and Pasta have the time for this? Well, we don't sleep, for one. And we do work, but we're stepped up this year to try to do the best we can. We're juggling a lot of things. We know it's the most important year. We're going to work our tails off. We love doing what we have to do, but we also think it's important and it's a necessity. Now, go over to that GoFundMe. Help us out. I want to reach the early people. We dropped it last night. We already got a little juice going. Steve Woolbrandt, thank you so much. Caitlin Easter, Gilbert Galinas, Cheryl Monsieur, Allison Irwin, friend of the show, Jackie Pagao, who's on.
Hey,
Tony
Jackie,
Mossy,
thank
I'm
you.
going to assume it's Tony who watches closely. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Charles Barrett, thank you so much. Ray Dion.
Thank you, Charles.
Anonymous, I didn't know you knew us. I love your mask you wear. No, it's just really somebody who is anonymous. Anthony Allen, Elizabeth Scott, and the first one to get in there and jump and donate was Todd Southern. Thank you guys so much, guys. We need your help. We want to get out there. We want to bring you this work. We're going to hit the ground running. It's an important time. Let us cover it for you, and we will make you proud. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, we will be there. We will be there. And, this includes getting equipment so we can go live far more easily.
Yeah.
So we can be multi-streaming and, better camera, have the better microphones to do
The whole
things
9 yards.
live. Because the thing is, when you're in situations like this, you can't always take time to go and edit it, because a lot of this stuff is happening as it's happening. So we're going to want to go live, and we're going to want to have a capability to be able to not have our internet interrupted, and just so many things that we can do, and we're looking into doing that. We want to 100% dedicate us to this during this primary, especially in the first few primary states that pretty much set the tone for the rest of the time. So
Just want to say thank you to everybody following up on the Facebook and the YouTubes today. We understand it's Sunday Fun Day, but we got a lot of you out there hanging on out, and we are so blessed and thankful
so much,
that
guys.
you're here. We also want to thank you for the Patreon contributions. Also, if you haven't done it, everybody, go over to Rockfin, ROKFIN. If you can endorse us, endorse us. But if you can't, just at least go sign up. We do have a debate coming up too as well. I believe there's a January debate, right, John? Do you have that New York Times? Did you want to show that, or you show the Rockfin first? There's the Rockfin. Take a look at the Rockfin, guys. You got to get over there. They're really improving their platform, and they even have an app. So on my app, I can just log in at any time and watch from the phone.
So we also got on Rockfin, we had the most watched video with the debate.
Streamed.
One of the streamed, this most streamed live video, which was one of the debates. I forget which one. I think it was the fourth. I don't know. But that's pretty awesome. I mean, we are one of the, the people that have gone on there from the very beginning, pretty much, along with Nico House, Rob Lacone now. We got Tina Berg on there now. I mean, it's a coalition of great progressives. Graham's on there. So I would highly recommend, because I believe a platform like that can replace YouTube, because YouTube has, just pulled channels and destroyed them out of nowhere, giving no complete explanation as to why. They are constantly shadow banning us. People tell me, oh, I click on Nico's video and it says it doesn't work, or it never tells me when you guys are going to go on, etc. So, you know, these are the things that we're used to happening when we go live or when we put out our videos.
Check it out.
So
awesome.
Rockfin, ROKFIN.
And guess what we do?
Check it out.
And we also stream the debates live from there.
Right.
And it's saying, and it's awesome. And once again, we'll hook you up for free. All you have to do is have a membership, an account, and you can watch the debates. You don't have to watch the corporate coverage. You can watch it with us.
You don't
on
have to watch Rachel
Live.
Maddow give her.
And you know how Johnny Sue makes it interesting? We got dolphins, we got malarkey, we got SpongeBob, we got people throwing up, we got emojis all over the place.
You've been exposed.
Let's take one look at the New York Times calendar, and let's just take a look and see what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Mark the dates. So, when the Iowa caucus is on Monday, February 3rd, we want to fly out by the 1st. We want to get there on the ground. We want to get to some rallies. We want to see some people. We want to talk to the people on the ground. We want to look at these caucuses. We want to see if there's any fugaziness. So that is something we want to do as well. Also, the next one we want to do is Nevada. We want to get on Nevada. We wish we can go to every one of them, but we'd have to raise a lot more. But then we want to get over to Nevada on the 22nd. Get to those caucuses. Spend some time out there. See the rallies as well. And then after that, in March, Fam's favorite, the California primaries here. We're going to go up and down the straits. We're going to see what's going on. And, of course, we have Florida. Where's Florida? What date's Florida?
Right after.
It is?
Yeah.
The 17th, Florida. I was in Arizona last time because it wasn't on the same date. It was on a different date. It's on that same date this time, but we want to get out.
These are all crucial states, you guys, because Florida is a swing state.
Yes, it is.
For instance, if Bernie can get, let's say it's Bernie or whatever is the majority. If he can get that means it's going to go in the general, because the thing is, Florida is the kind of state where, yes, there are a lot of Trump supporters, but there's also a lot of blue that fights it. But the thing is, those people, that state will go red if you nominate a neoliberal. That it's just they're just not going to vote for a corporate establishment person. I'm telling you right now, it's just in Florida. The only thing going against Bernie is they don't think he can win based on the statistics. But Tulsi Gabbard was mentioned a lot actually by people who are completely non-political, and they were like, "Oh, I wish she had more support because we would really like her." And this is one of those things where it's
needs.
Like, okay.
Top 5,
like
Iowa.
She can help Bernie in that way because she's again pulling those Republican votes, those independent votes that they don't think Bernie has a shot, so they don't vote for him. But they would rather vote for someone like her than maybe Donald Trump. But they will vote for Trump if you put a Warren or a Biden or a Buttigieg or any of those.
Any of those guys. And unfortunately, that's the truth. But you know what I'm saying? But the labels is what sometimes gets Bernie Sanders like, oh, I'm not voting for a socialist and stuff. But whatever the case may be, you know what I'm saying? There are a lot of people out there that Bernie Sanders cannot get that Tulsi can. And anybody thinking that she is not the best ally.
She's the only ally, pretty much, at this point.
At this point, you know what I'm saying? Like that. And if Bernie Sanders, no offense to anybody who thinks this, would pick a Warren for a vice president, a Stacey Abrams for a vice president, we're done. We need to get outside that Democratic bubble. We don't have to do what Joe Biden says. We don't have to pick a Republican.
No.
We have to pick somebody who's in the middle. You know what I'm saying? That would get somebody
not even
who's got
in the middle, but
views
somebody that can bring independents and Republicans. It's as simple as that.
What about
somebody that focuses on people over party?
But what did people say? Oh, Bernie Sanders already does
that. He does. He does to a degree. But I'm talking about the people that will not vote for him simply because he has a Democratic Socialist label. You tell them you're putting somebody like Tulsi Gabbard that's not afraid to go on Fox News, that's not afraid to talk to the other side, that's that votes present on impeachment. A lot of leftists really hated that about her. And I was one of the few, I still am, who have had this view. Paulson and I have had this view since the beginning, since before we even know how she was going to vote. No. We've been against impeachment because we know what it does to Donald Trump. It helps him. And it has helped him.
But you hit it on the nose, too, because I wanted her to vote no. Because I wanted her to say,
I wanted her to vote president.
You said president. Yeah. I'm happy with the president vote. And I was like, you know what, fam? I will take that because I wanted her to vote no and say this is all about regime change and I'm not going to stand behind any corruption that was led to a regime change, a bloody regime change in the Ukraine.
You can't vote no when he has actually done impeachable offenses. So the way she voted to me, which was the best
Agree.
way she could have voted.
Agree.
And I like I said it many times here, if I were her, I would have voted the exact same way.
Yeah.
And
the censors she wanted was really, they were the ones you want to put on and the things she wanted to
Yeah.
censor him for.
So again, the point of being that, she's getting votes that Bernie can't. I wish she would have more support. I wish she was, was allowed in the debates. They're not even polling her for these debates. By the way, they're not, CNN isn't putting her in their polls. It's a complete unfair situation. But the fact remains that I think she will get people from across the aisle that, that may, or people who just may feel more comfortable that there's somebody like her.
Big Game James with a $5 donation to the GoFundMe to help out. Thank you so much. And on the Super Chat contribution on the MCSC network, as it is always appreciated on the couch. Zcon says, "Convo, ouch," which you meant couch. We love you. Keep up the badly needed reporting. I don't agree with you on all the issues, but you are consistent on all the major points. Continuing exposing the mainstream media, the corporate Dems, and their lapdog minions. Absolutely, Zcon. We definitely agree with you there. And also, Ed Wagner, how you doing? Thank you for the Super Chat contribution, as is always appreciated on the couch. I don't agree with you much, but I appreciate your honesty. Ed, we appreciate the fact that you appreciate our honesty. And yes, we're willing to sit down. We don't want to make anybody look stupid who disagrees with us. We're willing to sit down there and talk to you guys and come to common ground. We have a lot more in common. Somebody said this the other day on Crosstalk. Me and you got a lot more in common than Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump do politically. Believe that. We all have a lot more in common.
Then wait, we have more in common with them than we have with each other than we have with them.
Thank you so much. Let me explain that. Yeah. Me and you, Ed Wagner, have a lot more in common than Nancy Pelosi does with Trump.
With us.
Yeah, with us.
With us.
Yes.
Yes. Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump have a lot more in common than we do with them. Yeah. I 100% agree.
Thank you so much for explaining that for me. It was much poetic when the guy said
this is the couch here.
That's the thing. But yes, you know what I'm saying? They're a lot more aligned on policy than we are.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. Whether they represent two different parties, they have far more in common with each other than they do with us. Us, the people. No class like class war.
Hi, Roshan. We see Roshan hanging out with Tracy
Roshan?
Moore on the Facebook. We love you, Roshan.
Okay,
Canada
guys.
Sativa hanging on out. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to get out of here.
Yeah.
But Johnny's going to finish up the show. He's got something from Janine Roan. From Chris Hedges. If we really saw war, what war does to young minds and bodies, it would be possible to embrace the myth of war. If we had to stand over the mangled corpses of school children killed in Afghanistan and listen to the wails of their parents, we would not be able to repeat the cliches we use to justify war. This is why war is carefully sanitized. This is why we are given war's perverse and dark thrill, but are spared from seeing war's consequences. Yep. The mythic visions of war keep it heroic and entertaining. The wounded, the crippled, and the dead are, in this great charade, swiftly carted off stage. We're not even seen. They are war's refuse. We do not see them. We do not hear them. They are doomed, like wandering spirits, to float around the edges of our consciousness, ignored, even reviled. Is it revealed or reviled? Reviled. The message they tell is too painful for us to hear. We prefer to celebrate ourselves and our nation by embidding the myths of glory, honor, patriotism, and heroism. Words that combat become empty and meaningless.
Oh.
Words that in combat become empty and meaningless.
Yeah.
That's why the
support
whole
our troops.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yes.
These people aren't coming. These oligarchs and their children aren't coming back home mangled with one arm, with one leg. They're not coming back home with PTSD. They're not coming back home wanting to committing suicide.
22 a day.
Because these people don't feel it. So it's so easy to send little pawns out to fight wars to fill your pockets. But we the people need to realize there's nothing patriotic about sending young kids to die. Nothing patriotic about that.
That's why it is so important to talk about and the stuff that Julian Assange released with WikiLeaks, the Chelsea Manning stuff. Seeing that helicopter mow down those reporters. For what? They didn't have anything. And we said, oops, but that's what war is all about. Killed dead in the street. There was also a little boy that was shot up in a truck that a Marine once grabbed and took off. And he told a story about that. Here it is. Look at this. This is disgusting. And what that Marine did, he had to grab the boy and start running, who was just bloody and dead and just trying to stay alive. It's disgusting. And We need to speak out for these people. We need AMLO talking about
Julian Assange saying he needs to be cleared.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, I think that's awesome. I think that, I'm happy Mexico has a president that does that. I want a president that does that too, that will stand there and say, hey, this needs to happen. And I would like Bernie to be more vocal about that. A lot of people dismiss that. That's not important. It is absolutely important. It's freedom of speech. It is the American people's freedom. None of us are free until all of us are free. And if journalists are being jailed for telling the truth, then what do you have? You don't have freedom. Yeah. So
there was something that Whitney Webb released too as well. I'm going to get on it too as well and pay some more attention to it about Soleimani. And Whitney Webb's an Epstein person.
Interesting.
Totally. Hey, why isn't Bill Clinton in jail? Let's not start in again. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get out of here. Johnny, what else you got?
Did you have something from Jimmy Dore you wanted to?
Oh yeah, the little Jimmy Dore stuff. Oh, we caught the end of. You got it right.
Yeah. We got the.
We got Jimmy. I can hear Jimmy.
Also, I don't know if anyone's seen these, but there's the millions attending Soleimani's funeral.
Oh yeah.
In Iran. There's been multiple videos being released. Ben Norton was showing some. This is insane.
Yeah, he's one of the most popular guys. Again, he was crucial, instrumental in leading the fight to defeat ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Those two groups that we not only funneled money into, but we helped create. And that's a fact. So how dare we call this guy a monster, this evil guy, when he's simply defending his country, defending his people? Isn't that what we admire about our those who defend our country?
Yeah.
It's a little hypocritical. I'm very hypocritical to think that.
Mike Ungi with the Super Chat contribution. Thank you so much, Mike Ungi. He says, all I wanted was some grated cheese for my linguine. No, you wanted grated cheese for your seafood linguine.
You, Mike.
And grated cheese doesn't belong on seafood.
Yes, it does. A little bit. Ungi and I are in agreement on this. We like Parmesan cheese on our seafood. I'm so sorry.
What else you got there, Johnny?
All right, graphic. This I saw on Reddit. If I don't photograph this, people like my mom will think war is what they see on TV. This picture's named Death of an Iraqi Soldier. And again, it's graphic. And
it's got to be seen.
This is what it's got. This is what it looks like. This is what war is. This is
oh God.
That's what war is. And then let's see Jimmy's speech.
Jesus, that was terrible.
Great to see everybody out here. This really means a lot. This is just the start. This is just the beginning. This is not the end. We have to all come together. It's great to meet everybody. It's great to see everyone here. If you know who's not here, where's Dianne Feinstein?
Yeah, there you go. There's Jimmy coming in.
Kamala Harris.
Exactly.
Where are the phony Democrats who pretend to oppose
Exactly.
and then give them $131 million?
Exactly. Complex. Yes!
That's on the Pentagon. Bipartisan. War knows no party. They don't give a shit if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian. Your blood will spill just as quickly as anybody. So I say fuck the establishment, fuck the Democrats.
Yeah! Fuck the establishment!
Okay, that was Johnny with the words of wisdom. Johnny, just what did you feel when Jimmy said that?
Oh, I felt the spirit of America inside me, for real. It felt like I felt good inside. Like it was like fuck, like someone's finally saying what needs to be said. Because the whole time, it was a good rally, but they were too hyper focused on Trump, and he was calling out what everyone else that needs to be called out as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "Where's Dianne Feinstein? She lives here.
Where's Adam Kamala
Schiff?
Harris?
Where's Adam fucking Schiff? He lives in Burbank. Your ass.
Brad Sherman.
Please. Where
all
they
these
at?
people.
Harley Rauda.
Here's the second half of that pasta got.
Yeah, after he said impeachment.
War knows no party. They don't give a shit if you're a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian. Your blood will spill just as quickly as anybody. So I say fuck the establishment, fuck the Democrats. Every one of my lifetime has been bullshit, from Vietnam to grenade China to the first small force to the second to Libya to Syria to Venezuela, Bolivia, now Iran. All wars are bullshit. 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 Stand for peace. Thank you, everyone.
Jimmy fucking Dore, lady. I can hear Jimmy. That's from White Man Can't Jump. I have to remember. I can hear Jimmy. I can hear Jimmy. He's like, no, you can't hear Jimmy. Wesley Snipes was telling Woody Harrelson that. No.
Your blood spills just as quickly. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. I mean, that's a poignant remark. Like, it doesn't matter. They don't care. They really don't give a damn about who lives or dies, as long as they maintain their status. And that's the bottom line that I think Jimmy understands and that we understand is this isn't just about Donald Trump. Bottom line, military-industrial complex are the ones that you should want to impeach, not just him, because you remove him, somebody else will come in and act the same if these methods aren't taken into account. And so it takes like a jagoff comedian, like Jimmy calls himself, to come and speak truth. And the people love it when you speak truth to power. I mean, every war is a bullshit war. Yeah, all wars are bullshit.
And let me say this much. The reason why people go, oh, well, why do you be such a Jimmy sycophant? Why do you like him so much? Because why? This has been his number one issue. He's led the way on this. He was a different type of Bob Hope. You know what I'm saying? When he went out there and did this comedy for the troops and whatnot, and he saw. Same with Graham. You know what I'm saying? That's why I love these people, because this is one of our biggest issues. And a lot of people, our foreign policy is our domestic policy. And I know that because AOC said it. And
only because AOC said it.
AOC said it, so therefore it's true. But if she said it, if she makes you grasp it,
doesn't matter who says it.
Who cares?
Yeah.
But it's the truth. Right. And we need to get it together, and that's why we love this guy. That's why we support anti-war candidates. Seeing Angelica Duenas out there yesterday was amazing. It was a great time. It was a great Saturday, and I'm glad we made it.
Yeah, those are the real journalists, by the way, out there standing with the people against war. Those are the real journalists, the real fighters.
Natalie Chavez hanging on out on the MCSC network. What's up, Natalie? Johnny, anything else? So that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, remember to go to our GoFundMe if you can. Sign up for Rockfin. Get ready for the next debate. Help us out on our Patreon. Help us out over here. We got a couple donations during the show. Another one just came up. Thank you guys so much. We got 13 donors. We love you. We need a lot more. We want to go out there and cover this and bring you breaking, up-to-date news for these primaries. It's important. Remember last time, they screwed Bernie. They screwed him hard. Yep. We got to cover everything right now, too, as well. So we'll be there. Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
So, for Pasta Jardula,
Fiorella Isabel,
Johnny Sue on those ones and twos.
CONVO out.
Have a good Sunday.
Peace.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Candidate Week this week coming on up. Join on in. Sema Hernandez. Tuesday on the 7th, knocking it off. And Mark Sloboda will be talking late night policy junkies about more Iraq and Iran stuff.
Woo!
See you then.
Bye.